Hey guys, Dr. Vero here. Welcome back to my channel, Health Layer. Today I'm going to be discussing a documentary that has kind of become a really big deal. I watched it myself almost 2 weeks ago now, and I have so many things to say about the documentary. The documentary is What the Health, and it is now on Netflix. I'm going to be discussing a few points that were made in the documentary, and I also saw a critic who made a video on YouTube and who kind of just discussed what they were saying in the documentary and criticized some of the points. I'll be talking about both the documentary and the critic points, and then I'll give you my own conclusions at the end. I'm only going to be discussing 7 points. Why 7? There were so many points, I can't talk about them all, but these 7 to me were the ones that made me go, huh, really? Seriously? I don't know, they just kind of sounded shocking and they made me nervous, and I think that if it made me nervous, I know it'll probably make you guys nervous. So that's exactly what I'm going to go into today. So let's begin. So what are the 7 points? Point 1 basically said, a diet high in carbs and high in sugars doesn't cause diabetes. This to me was kind of Point 2 was eating 1 egg is the equivalent of smoking 5 cigarettes. What? No. Point 3 was plutonium is vegan. And this was actually made by a critic of the actual documentary, not the documentary itself. Don't get confused. Point 4 was that even if you tell people about the bad effects of their diet, people will not change. And this was said by a critic of the video. Point 5 was that eating chicken was no better than eating beef. Point 6 was that fish was no better. And point 7 was that we need cow milk as much as we need camel milk. So these 7 points to me were, I think, the most hard-hitting personally, because I eat all these things all the time. Being of Colombian heritage, all I do is eat fish, chicken, meat, eggs every day, all day, every day. And so for me, this was really important to go into. So point 1 basically said, no, it's not diets high in sugar and high in carbs that cause diabetes. It's diets high in animal fat. And this is because the animal fat will coat the muscle cells and it causes insulin resistance. This means that even if you have insulin released into your blood, it's not going to take the sugar out of your blood. So you're going to have too much sugar in your blood and it's going to lead to diabetes. So the critic said that this was fake science. And there's a way of using words, okay? And I think that when one doctor says one thing and another doctor contradicts the first doctor, then it kind of leaves everyone wondering who to believe, because they're both doctors, right? So I decided to look into it myself. To be honest, in medical school we do learn that diets high in carbs and high in sugars do predispose you to obesity. Now, obesity itself predisposes you to diabetes. And this definitely is because a higher amount of fat in your body can cause insulin resistance, but that's not the only factor. A study was conducted and it showed that athletes and people who were diabetic both had high muscle fat. The only difference is that athletes were more sensitive to insulin, so they could cope with the amount of sugars in their blood better. What does this mean? Essentially means that yes, eating foods high in sugars and high in carbs can predispose you to obesity, and yes, it can predispose you to diabetes. But if you have certain lifestyle behaviors like exercise, and if you're eating healthy fats rather than really bad saturated fats, then your body will be able to kind of respond in an adequate way, and it's going to prevent you from having diabetes. And this is really important because obviously diet is not the only factor here, so is exercise. So the way that you can keep your body healthy from, or prevent yourself from getting diabetes, yes, it's by reducing the amount of bad fats in your diet, but it's also by, you know, kind of controlling how much sugars you're eating and how much carbs you're eating if you know you have a diet that's high in bad fats. And this is what I want you guys to know, that it's a combination of many things. It's not just one fixes all, okay? So point 2 was basically 1 egg is the equivalent of 5 cigarettes. And this was crazy to me because I eat eggs all the time. I love eggs. I have them in the morning. Sometimes I have them for dinner. I have them in salads during lunch. I mean, eggs are like in my daily diet. So this was crazy. And the critic, he actually said that this was nuts, that You need to be careful what studies you choose to listen to because they're always going to be saying certain things. So if you're looking for an answer that says, hey, eggs are bad, guess what? You're going to find an answer that says, yes, eggs are bad. And this is actually true. Some studies said that the cholesterol you get from eggs is not actually bad for you because dietary cholesterol has been shown to not really adversely affect your cholesterol. If you're already predisposed to having issues with cholesterol metabolism, then yes, eating high cholesterol foods won't be good for you. But it's also a combination of how you eat things. So, for example, one study showed that if you have a diet that's high in eggs and low in saturated fat, or if you have a diet high in eggs and high in healthy fat, then your risk of cardiovascular disease from eating too many eggs is actually extremely low. But if you combine eggs with really saturated fats, with all of these really bad unhealthy foods for you, then of course you're going to be more predisposed to being adversely affected by that. When I read that same article that was put in the documentary, all the way on the bottom, it says things that need to be looked into further. Maybe we're seeing a bad effect from eggs, but it's maybe because there's something else that's interacting that we didn't actually look into. So we definitely do have to be careful on how we interpret information we are given. It is my general sense and my general opinion that anything in excess is bad for you. So obviously if you're going to be eating 40 eggs a day, that can't be good for you. If you're eating 4 eggs a day, I don't think it's going to cause your arteries to accumulate cholesterol and plaques and give you heart disease. But like I said, take everything with a grain of salt, okay? And this is just information for you to make your own decisions, all right? So number 3, it basically said that plutonium was vegan. So why plutonium? So basically the documentary said that the WHO, or the World Health Organization, yes, it's the WHO, it's not the WHO, they're not a singing group, it's the WHO. On their website, they have a list of group 1 carcinogenic items. What does this mean? Basically, items that can increase your risk of cancer. On that list, it includes processed meats, smoking, obviously, and it also includes plutonium. So when the critics said, oh, plutonium is vegan, I was kind of like, what? And that made no sense to me. So I looked into it. I didn't find anything. I most likely never will find anything because I think that that was just kind of a remark to make some shocking statement to get a reaction out of the viewers, in my opinion. So if you guys find something that supports his view that plutonium is vegan, please send it to me. I'll definitely post it. Number 5 was that chicken is no better than beef. So why would they make this comparison? So basically the documentary said that the amount of cholesterol in beef and in chicken is actually pretty similar. It's 85 milligrams in chicken, 89 milligrams in beef. So for people who are just looking at the amount of cholesterol in food, this is like, whoa, chicken is just as bad as beef. And yes, it's true because of the cholesterol, but dietary cholesterol, like I said, has not been shown to increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. The issue with chicken is not necessarily the chicken itself. It's obviously the way you cook it. If you're frying it, if you're putting it on a grill where you're gonna have a lot of carbon, you know, cooking the chicken. A lot of people used to say that the chicken skin was bad for you. Recently, if you guys don't watch The Doctors, they said that chicken skin is actually good for you. It has some nutrients in the skin itself. So there's a lot of kind of like mixed remarks and mixed comments, and this is why it's so difficult to give everyone adequate advice, because even for us, the research is very contradicting. So chicken, is it actually good for you? Is it bad for you? Well, studies have looked into the adverse effects of chicken. They haven't seen any increased risk of cancer or worsening cancer, more specifically prostate cancer, which is what the study was on. So you need to be kind of careful with how you interpret and how you absorb information. I definitely encourage you guys to go and make your own research if you want after you watch my video, because staying informed doesn't matter how you inform yourself as long as you are informed. So if you don't believe me, if you don't believe some other doctor, that's actually excellent, because it's going to make you take control of your own health, and you're going to research yourself and make a decision based on what you find. that's it for today. If you have comments, please put them down below. I'll also put the link and my Instagram account. Everything is down there. Stalk me on all kinds of social media. I love interacting with you guys. I put tons of stories, so if you guys want to know what I do in my daily life, that's a great way for you to find out. If you guys have any concerns, please let me know. Don't forget to subscribe. The button's right there, don't forget. And I will see you guys next week. Bye!